Let's talk about what we wanted to talk about. So I'm wearing black today and mourning. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm gonna sit here and be the optimistic realist because I understand after last we got the worst end of two focal points last night. If Nick Chubb had gotten injured and we had won that game, I don't think we'd be panicking as much. If we had lost that game in the way we did, similar manners, similar play out there, but Nick Chubb doesn't get hurt on that play, we're like, okay, we're 1-1. Let's move on to Tennessee. It's because the two things happened last night, and we'll get to other touch points as well, that makes people believe. I saw it. I didn't pay attention to any of the shows today, I haven't gone on to Twitter since 7:30 last night because it's just going to be a wave of negativity of Tuesday morning quarterbacking. They're like, this season's over, Nick Chubb's thing. And the people who are saying Nick Chubb's career is over, I get it because it's the running back position. I'm not sold that this is the end of Nick Chubb. Now, granted, if Nick Chubb is not the same guy, I wouldn't be surprised. But we've seen guys come back from this. And I want to let you have the floor here because I know you're going to have a different take than I do. I saw what you commented last night.
What comment?
It was under a particular Instagram post, one that one professional football franchise. I saw it. We all saw it. I mean, no, I don't know if we all saw it, but I saw it for sure.
Well, I'll start with Chubb. Neither you or I are doctors last time I checked, unless you just recently completed getting your doctorate in
I
the
did not.
doctor field. Okay, so this is all speculation.
Yes.
At the same time, though, what we can do is take some of the facts that we know. It's a gruesome injury. What we've seen put out there by allegedly real doctors is that the timetable for this return is a 15-month recovery.
Yeah.
However, that is for first-time knee injuries.
Right.
This is the same knee Nick Chubb had a complete blow-up in 2015 against the University of Tennessee at Georgia. I don't want to – Mitch, I hope his career's not over. I hope it's not. At the same time, if it is, I wouldn't be shocked either because this is a knee he's already had reconstructive surgery on. He tore his ACL, PCL, MCL in 2015. This is something that is a very serious injury, and it's not something that it was like a fluky injury where he got rolled up on. I mean, you play football, it's a violent sport, we get it. But at the same time, him going down last night took everything out. I was sick. I was sick sitting there because he is what the Cleveland Browns are. He is what the city of Cleveland is. Right? Hard work, puts his head down, goes to work, doesn't care about all the flashiness and getting all the recognition. To me, he was one of the top two, if not the best overall running back in the National Football League.
Yeah.
I think Christian McCaffrey being able to be a receiver obviously plays a different factor, but when he went down, it felt like it took all the air out of everything for the Cleveland Browns. He's not replaceable. I don't want to sit here and act like he is. Can guys step up and have big games? Sure. I thought Jerome Ford did a very nice job last night stepping up in a role Mitch he didn't expect to be in. No way, shape, or form did he expect to be in that role last night. I told you I was going to be optimistic all year, but after last night, after Chubb going down, it kills me. And then our quarterback play. First off, the quarterback play in both games last night from four different quarterbacks was horrendous. I'm talking the other Monday Night Football game in Carolina and the Saints. And then last night between Kenny One Glove and Deshaun Watson, it was horrendous. I mean, they attempted to throw 70 passes last night and completed 37 of them in the Cleveland-Pittsburgh game.
Wow. Jesus.
37 of 70. Deshaun Watson looked about as bad as he possibly could have since coming back from last year. It looked like that game should have been last year with how he played. And yeah, I am sour Browns fan. I'm mad Browns fan. The only reason I say miss Baker is because he's in Tampa and he actually looks good through two games.
Yeah,
Jedrick Wills is terrible. Okay, like that last fumble last night that was a strip sack and picked up for a touchdown, that wasn't on Watson's fault. He had no time because Jedrick Wills was lost on a football field and didn't touch the defender.
Yep, I've been trying to tell you.
We saw this before. We saw this exact recipe for disaster before. A Monday Night Football game in Pittsburgh, leaving a rookie tackle one-on-one with TJ Watt. DeJuan Jones, I thought did a pretty good
Yeah,
job, Mitch, being
yeah.
his first career start, second NFL
He's still
game
got time. Yeah.
after Conklin went. Yeah, he's got plenty of time. Why do the Cleveland Browns and their coaching staff continue to allow one single player to wreck a game like TJ Watt? And where is Myles Garrett? Anybody
Getting
out
held.
there? And true. At the same time, anybody out there that still says that Myles Garrett is good, just as good, if not better than TJ Watt, needs a reality check because he's not. He's played 3 less career games than TJ Watt, and the stats aren't even close. TJ Watt beats him in every single statistical category on NFL reference. TJ Watt is way better than Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett was MIA last night. He showed up against Cincinnati, and we are paying him all this money, and he did not make a big play we needed. Sione Takitaki, great big sack in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, we only got to them twice in sacks.
Which is crazy because the Steelers' offensive line is not a very good offensive line. They can't
No.
run the football. I mean, their leading rusher was Najee Harris with 43 yards on 10 carries. Nick Chubb had 64 yards on 10 carries after 1 quarter and a few seconds.
Yeah.
And it was so frustrating because going into that game, I had the utmost confidence.
That's what it was. Yep.
Truly believed the Cleveland Browns were the better team. They were going to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers last night. They were going to go 2-0. The first play of the game, miscommunication. Watson thought Bryant, who is another Cleveland Brown that I think his time here needs to be done. I mean, from there to the Chubb injury, it hurt. And I don't know where this team goes because I don't know how much better Deshaun Watson can possibly get and knock off the rust now without the running game that we plan to have around him because Jerome Ford is not Nick Chubb. Jerome Ford is not the big bruising back that can take the hits and bounce off tacklers. I do think Jerome Ford can be good, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you he can be as good as Nick Chubb because if it was that easy, Mitch, there would be other running backs in the NFL who could probably be as good as Nick Chubb, and there aren't. And it kills me. I don't know what happens now. I think Stefanski, I can give him a pass for last night because you obviously expected to have a game plan with Chubb involved. But at the same time, some of the play calling was terrible. Deshaun Watson and his throws to the outside along the sideline were terrible. People that want the pass interference call at the end of the game, it needs to be a better throw from Deshaun Watson.
It does, yeah.
That to me, that ball wasn't catchable. And it's probably why the flag wasn't thrown. Was he being held? Absolutely. It was obvious. And it was in front of an official. Did it feel like we got cheated a couple times when it came to calls last night? Yes, it feels like that every single time.
The most egregious non-face mask I've ever seen in my life. Now and then, of course, he does it twice, but he's still
right. It sucks because this Pittsburgh Steelers team is not a good football team.
I mean, here, sorry.
Everybody that's like, oh, this is a sleeper.
This is a mid Steelers team. This is a mid team.
This is a team that probably. This is a team that's probably going to be the first team that doesn't go 500 because you can't go 500 anymore in the NFL with 17 games. But Mike Tomlin never had a losing record. He's never been below 500. This is going to be the first team that does it because Kenny Pickett is not good. They have injuries already. And for how many injuries were there last night? For both sides.
A few, yeah.
A lot for the Browns. A lot of guys shaking up.
Minka went out. Denzel, Newsome.
I'll withhold my comments on Minka.
I know. Well, I don't think he meant it, but you got to be more careful than that. And it's because he got hurt that we're mad.
I don't know where the Browns go now. I don't know if I can be that guy that was optimistic. Deshaun Watson has a long way to go.
Yeah, he does.
And I don't know if he might be too far gone. And if he is too far gone, and in worst case scenario, Nick Chubb's career is over, Mitch, this team is stuck in a spot to where they are going to be in a lot of trouble for the next 3 years.
I mean, it's certainly it's a mental thing still, because even a guy who was one of the best deep ball throwers over the last couple of years should have been intercepted in the end zone on that one the last night. And then there were a couple other ones where I'm like, where is he going with this? And you kind of hope it can be fixed, but especially for a guy that, already isn't the most loved in the league, I'm sure it can be kind of taxing on you, whether or not it pertains to the details in the cases that happened against him. Now, to go back to what you said, though, about where the Browns might be stuck at running back, I have come to the conclusion, my own personal conclusion, that I don't think we're as stuck as a team like, say, the Jets are at quarterback. Here's the thing. Zach, like Aaron Rodgers going down, I think was more catastrophic to the Jets because you're putting Zach Wilson in a position where he was last season and was supposed to keep growing. And now that he's thrust back into it, he's still not ready. And that's all they're stuck at right now. Right now, it's harder to find a free agent or a trade quarterback than it is to find a free agent or trade running back. There are a number of options you can go to. You can go to a guy like, let's say, Cam Akers, who's trying to find a trade out of LA. You can go to a Leonard Fournette, who was formerly with Tampa Bay. You can go to even a Jonathan Taylor if you can somehow broker a deal with the Indianapolis Colts. Granted, it's going to take some capital to do so. And by the way, one of those free agent running backs right now is a guy who was on your team for the last 2 or 3 years in Kareem Hunt. You could certainly find a way to bring him back into the fold if he's going to get all the first team reps he can. Granted, he's going to want the money for it, and I think they'd be more willing to give it now because they're in a bit of a panic mode. But I don't see it. Like, obviously none of these guys, even Kareem, like as good as Kareem has shown himself to be in limited fashion, he's not Nick Chubb. I get that. But
Yeah.
I don't think that this is a situation where the Browns absolutely have to panic. It's only because the quarterback play right now, and what was I saying? I was trying to make a comparison last night, but when it's like when Deshaun Watson's play is more comparable to, say, Zach Wilson's than it is some other quarterback that I was thinking of, and I can't remember it. It's not great. It's not great at all. And it's definitely a mental thing with him. You hope he can fix that there. The defense still was able to make some plays there. I wish we had pressured Pickett a couple of times because I do believe George Pickens is going to, if Kenny Pickett gets good in the NFL, it's going to be because of George Pickens. George Pickens is a playmaker that can break away from even the best of secondaries right now. It felt like every catch he had was for significant yardage last night, especially that 71 yarder that if Dalvin Tomlinson Tomlinson just gets to him half second sooner, he's down. But yeah, that's where we are. And again, this Steelers team is the most mid Steelers team I've seen in a long time. That's why it was so frustrating for us Browns fans to see this team lose last night and lose in the way we did, have a couple of those big plays. Like, I don't know. This is again. I still think the Steelers could finish ahead of the Browns, but this will be the first Steelers team I think to go 500 or less because this is not a team that can. We saw them just get destroyed by San Francisco last week, so there's no reason to think that they can compete with the likes of Baltimore right now, who's 2-0. Even though we'll get into the other teams here in a second, but either way, look, we got next week. The Titans are coming in. We can beat the Titans. Even with some pieces lost on offense. I think we can. I don't think Tennessee has looked amazing so far this season. They had that game against the Raiders. They had this game this past week, but give it time. Give it time. I think we'll be okay. This is not this. I don't think this is like last year where the Jets loss so deflated us that we were like, what the hell just happened? I think it's like, okay, we obviously have to make some adjustments. Let's try to figure it out. Let's not panic here.